In this session, we are going to see an overview of SAP WM, SAP Warehouse Management. What we want to see is the big picture, to see how WM is inside the SAP, and to introduce some of the WM concepts that we are going to use in the rest of the lessons. First of all, we are going to see the complete warehouse management process. So, logistics execution is the functionality that supports all logistics process. Mainly they are going to be goods issues from our warehouses and goods receipts to our warehouses. We can differentiate different submodules inside logistics execution. On one side we have warehouse management, but we also can talk about shipping, that is a logistics functionality or logistic process, and transportation, that we need for transport, for move our finished goods to our customers. These are going to be different submodules inside logistics execution, and we can place warehouse management inside materials management, that is our internal processes for maintaining our stocks, and the both shipping and transportation inside the big module sales and distribution. Warehouse management, what is going to allow us is to specify location for stock quantities. In all SAP implementations where we use logistics, we are going to need inventory management, but inventory management only provides us with total quantities in each store location. With warehouse management, we can go lower and specify different locations for different materials and to move these ones around our warehouses. So we are going to be able to locate them in a specific location. So it is not mandatory to implement warehouse management. In some places it is enough with inventory management, but in some cases, in these cases where we want to manage locations, we want the system to tell us where are our stocks, not only the total quantity we have in our warehouse, we are going to need to implement warehouse management. For moving stocks around our warehouses, we are going to need to create transfer orders. These are the ones that are going to allow us to tell the system from where the source location and the destination location from which we want to move to our quantities. Warehouse management is going to have the interfaces with the rest of logistics modules. So we can see that we are going to have a very tight interface with inventory management, with sales and distribution for managing our finished goods that we are going to send to our customers, with production planning and production control, because we need to provide the components and raw materials production is going to use for manufactured semi-finished and finished goods, and with quality management, as we also need to maintain the stocks we are going to use for the different QM quality management functionalities. Inside warehouse management, we are going to have different organizational units that we are going to see now. First of all, we are going to have the warehouse number. We can have only one warehouse number for each plant, or we can have different warehouse numbers for the same plant. This depends on the requirements, and it is decided in the implementation phase. Behind warehouse number, we are going to have different storage types. These are different kinds of sections where we can store materials. And even below that, we can define different storage sections or picking areas. Storage sections are mandatory, at least we need to have one for each storage type, but picking areas are optional and we can create them or not. We can have different storage sections for this storage type and different picking areas at the same time. We are going to have for each warehouse number different storage type with different storage sections and picking areas. So this is the structure we can define for mapping the warehouses in our organization. Master data, we are going to need to maintain two WM views in the material master, where we
are going to define if the material we are maintaining is going to be managed in these warehouses where we are going to use WM, and how it is going to be used, how it's going to be managed. And we also need storage bins that these are specific locations within the warehouse. Below storage section that we saw in the organizational unit, we can have different storage bins, and we can also define different storage bin types depending on which kind of materials we are storing in them. So this is a part of the structure, but these are master data we can create, users can create, and we don't need to configure it in customizing. After this, we are going to talk about movement types. There are going to be some warehouse management movement types that have to be linked to the inventory management movements. We always are going to have inventory management movements for entering new materials, new quantities in our stock, in our plant. But if we are managing with WM our warehouses, we need to map these inventory management movements to our WM movement, in able to move around quantities in our warehouses. So for instance, if we have storage location in our plant where we make a good receipt in inventory management, that is a movement 101, automatically we can configure it for creating a movement to the warehouse management interim storage type good receipt area. An interim storage type is a storage type that is used for entering as a temporary stock or a temporary storage type before placing these materials in the definitive storage type where they are going to be placed. At the same time, we can configure the system for creating a transfer requirement, because this is the object we need for moving these quantities inside our warehouse management system. That is going to be transformed, is going to be converted either manually or automatically. There are different ways of doing that in a transfer order. And finally, when we confirm this transfer order, that is going to be when the operator places this quantity in the final or the destination storage type, these quantities are going to be placed in the storage type where they are going to be. And finally, we have different processes in warehouse management, like the put away control. This is the process as one we have already seen in this last slide, where we enter new stock in our warehouse. So we can define different strategies for selecting the destination location, or we can define if we are going to use transfer requirement or directly transfer orders. We also need some strategies for removing stocks from our warehouse management system. We are going to have to relate our warehouse processes with delivery processes, either inbound or outbound deliveries. We are going to see how we can post changes that we make in our warehouse to our warehouse management system for dealing with them, like changing from storage bins, or changing the storage types, or changing the structure of the warehouse. We are going to need to see how to supply components and raw materials to the production. We are going to need to monitor all of these processes, all of the transactions. There might be some errors we have to monitor, and we can see the movements just for checking if everything is all right, or we want to make some kind of statistics. And finally, it is necessary to make some inventory counting and updating stocks in our warehouse. So we need some processes for adjusting these stocks in the different locations of our warehouse management system.